How does Paul fare as he's thrown into a fight against a battle-hardened Fremen? Spoilers for the first book throughout. Let's get straight into it. Paul and Jessica, his mother, find the Fremen in the desert. Paul disarms Jamis, and feeling he has been bested by a child, Jamis invokes a ritual fight. Jessica confronts the young Fremen and uses the voice. I will teach you agony. The voice is a Bene Gesserit technique that allows them to use speech to control and manipulate people's behaviour. But before she can do more, Jamis invokes the silence and Stilgar stops her speaking. I assume this relates back to the Fremen Reverand Mothers and is something those without the voice can do to stop their interference. The Bene Gesserits and the Fremen Reverend Mothers have that same ability. Jessica advises Paul about the Fremen Jamis. She exalts Paul's training under Gurney and Duncan and notes his Bene Gesserit Prana Bindu training. That means self-control of nerves and muscle that he has been trained in. Paul thinks of Duncan Idaho's advice and fights with his feet bare as he is uncertain of the surface and how it will affect his footwork. Chani has also instructed Paul about how the Fremen boy fights. Paul is given a crysknife by Chani and has been taught by Gurney to fight with a similar blade. The shearing guard can also trap your opponent's blade, Gurney would tell him. On the crysknife, there was only a small lip where the handle met the blade, no guard that would stop an enemy's blade moving down yours and taking off your fingers. With a personal shield, the style Paul has been wielding all his life, he would normally react to defence with great speed, but on attack slow to penetrate the enemy's personal shield. But Paul does not have one, and Jamis has never fought with one. Paul's prescience has shown him so much of the future, but in this moment it felt like any small thing could affect how well he fought, and Paul felt afraid from knowing so much could go wrong. Jamis makes the first strike. Paul is not there. Paul's slow speed allows Jamis to twist and back away, part of Paul's shield fighter timing. Jamis attacks several more times, and Paul counters every time, and it's a little slow. The rote training of muscle memory not letting him cut the Fremen. Jessica sees Paul's attacks are well timed, but the angle is the one you would make if you had a personal shield to help deflect the young Fremen's blows. Jamis attacks again, and he anticipates that Paul will move to the right. Paul meets the man's knife on the blade of his own. Jamis then twists away, blood dripping from his hand. Paul's training again feeds through, and he asks the Fremen to yield as he would in training after getting first blood. Jamis reacts to this with scorn, and Stilgar explains the fight is to the death. Jessica worries that Paul will not be able to kill a man in this way. Paul looks to his prescience for aid, but there are too many paths out from this moment for a clear choice. Paul comes forward. Jamis backs away, seeing now Paul was not some soft off-worlder. Jessica comments that the fear she had put into Jamis earlier had come to bloom. Now he feared Paul. Paul circles, but didn't attack. Having seen the fear, he is working to Duncan's advice to let the fear do its work. The terrified man fights himself and can be trusted to make a fatal mistake. The crowd thinks Paul is toying with the boy. They don't like it. Paul can see the pressure building in Jamis to act. Jamis leaps and strikes down with his right hand. But it is empty. The blade is in his other hand. Paul thinks the Chinese warning of this, and Gurney warning him to watch the knife and not which hand holds it. Paul also has read the bad footwork of Jamis. That took him a heartbeat longer than it should to leap and recover. Paul slips sideways and thrusts up with the knife to meet where James's chest is still descending. The boy crumples, and his body is carried away by the Fremen. Jessica asks Paul how it feels to kill, worried he might enjoy this moment. Stilgar is told Paul had never killed with a naked blade, and that is why he was reluctant to kill Jamis. Stilgar now understands, and Jessica can see Paul has not taken to enjoying the moment. Paul is given the Fremen name Usul, the base of the pillar. That is his secret name in the Siege Tabber or community, and only they may use it. This begins his induction into the ways of the Fremen people, who will have such a big effect on his life. Now friends, I turn it over to you. What do you think to Paul's fight? Did Paul have too much of an advantage? Have you ever won a knife fight with a Fremen? Comment down below.